Wow. Watching multi-billion-dollar corporations destroy themselves in real time might just be my special interest. The Sims 4 is a 12-year-old game that already has over 110 paid DLC. DLC that costs over $1,600 total to buy. I think we can all agree that that is already enough. 5 years ago it was enough, but now it's a lot. You guys thought the girlies on TikTok collecting Stanley Cups was a lot.
Yeah.
You should see a Sims 4 stand.
There's no way in hell this is $5 million. Well, fuck me in the ass, this is $5 million.
But if all that wasn't enough, they have now announced a marketplace where players can buy custom content using a virtual currency. Yes, microtransactions have finally arrived to The Sims 4.
Sul Simmers. The Sims 4 Marketplace is a new in-game space where you can discover, purchase, and download content. Moolah is a virtual currency used for marketplace purchases. You can access the marketplace from inside The Sims 4.
Now, as most of us know, Electronic Arts has been on a downward dog spiral for at least a decade, and at this point I'm rarely surprised by the links this company will go to be a piece of shit. But I think we may have reached the cesspits of hell with this latest situation. But before we dissect this entire mess, I want us to take a step back and ask ourselves, why now? Why after 12 years have they now decided to introduce a marketplace and a virtual currency where you can buy a fucking sofa for $5? I haven't even bought a sofa in real life. That's why I'm single. Well, what if I told you all of this is not a coincidence? Right now, as you're watching this video, EA CEO Andrew Wilson is in Miami, Florida, where he's meeting with a bunch of banks to secure contracts for the $20 billion loan EA is taking out as part of the company sale to Saudi Arabia and the Trump family. If you're not caught up with that mess, you must be new to the channel. Welcome. But yes, the Saudi government and the Trump family are buying EA. So while our boy Andy is down there with JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup and Bank of America, who were all circle jerking over all the interest they're gonna make from these loans, EA studios have all been left burdened with the task of figuring out how the hell they're gonna pay off all these loans. I know when people talk about numbers, it gets boring. That's why I failed calculus more than once. But this debt that EA is taking on is massive. This is the largest leveraged or loan-backed buyout in US history. And just the interest on these $20 billion loans will exceed $1 billion a year. And that is very problematic for EA because on average, they only make around $1 billion a year in net profits. So now with these loans, their net profits are wiped out completely. While this whole buyout is very lucrative for EA's executives, like the CEO who own hundreds of thousands, millions, let's be real, of dollars worth of EA stock that is going to be bought by the Saudi government, the aftermath of the buyout and paying back all those loans is a huge concern. And even though The Sims 4 has a lot of couches,
Another casual sofa.
they're not gonna find $1 billion a year just looking under the couch cushions, even if there are like 200 of them. So EA has to take extreme measures to afford this deal. Studio closures, replacing workers with generative AI. We've already seen them partner with AI companies. Layoffs. There were just a few hundred people laid off a couple weeks ago at one of EA's studios. And of course, increased monetization. Introducing The Sims Marketplace. With this marketplace, EA has partnered with custom content creators to sell their creations officially through this new store. The official creators make these items, upload them to the marketplace, and then players can buy them using the new virtual currency called Moolah. Now, as with every shitty thing the Sims team has introduced to this game over the last 12 years, they have marketed this marketplace as a win for players and the community.
The Maker program allows these skilled artists to publish content directly to The Sims 4 for all Simmers. So whether you're on PC, Mac, PlayStation, or Xbox, you can enjoy new decor, build objects, clothing, accessories, makeup, and even hair while supporting your favorite maker.
Now, PC and console players alike will have access to all the custom content in the world, and creators can earn some money selling it. You might be thinking, okay, this is a great way to support custom content creators. But as we know, with everything EA does, it is not that simple. These creators are only earning 30% of the sales of their own creations. So if they create a chair and then upload it to the marketplace where they sell it for $1, if if somebody buys that chair, they only get 30 cents. Who gets the rest, you ask? You guessed it. Of course, the remaining 70% goes to EA. It's kind of genius, really, because with this marketplace, The Sims and EA will make a hell of a lot of money by doing absolutely nothing. The developers on the Sims team are not making these items, yet they're reaping the majority of the reward. They're getting 70% of the revenue. Now, of course, it's understandable that EA has to take some of that revenue to cover the back-end costs, like with hosting the marketplace and stuff, but I think we can all agree that 70% is absurd.
When you purchase maker packs, you're supporting the makers behind that content.
I mean, girl.
I find it so scummy that they have marketed this as something that is rewarding custom content creators. As we all know, custom content and mods are the reason this game has lasted for 12 years. Modders and CC creators are the backbone of The Sims 4, but they have marketed this whole thing as a wonderful opportunity and rewarding custom content creators when in actuality, it is a huge slap in the face. Of course, it's not surprising given the way that EA has treated The Sims player base for the last 12 years. But I feel like the manipulation and the gaslighting from EA and the Sims team, let's face it, is getting more and more obvious. They're not even trying to be fair and equitable. But of course, it gets worse. The Sims will also be moving all future kits, a type of DLC, onto the marketplace. So players will no longer be able to buy kits directly just off of the EA app or Steam. They'll have to purchase virtual currency first and then use that virtual currency to buy the kits. And it already feels like the pricing for this store is quite exploitative. Not to be arrogant, but I feel like EA may have watched my video about Disney Dreamlight Valley where I talked about what a mess that game's monetization is, because that game essentially does the exact same thing. Dreamlight Valley also has a virtual currency and a store where items are priced in a manner that forces players to buy more and more virtual currency. For instance, an item in Dreamlight Valley might cost $12, but the virtual currency can only be bought in bundles costing $10 or $20. So you can't buy the cheaper $10 bundle, you have to buy the $20 bundle, and then you have virtual currency left over, of course. And a lot of players get caught in this trap where they're like, oh, I have some virtual currency left over in my account, I should buy something else, but then they have to buy more virtual currency to afford that thing.
So we'll just say this is an £18 set. That is absolutely ridiculous.
It is a slippery slope for players. The kind of pricing that is often used in these cash shops or marketplaces is extremely problematic, and it is exactly the type of shady shit we should all expect from EA. Furthermore, I do feel like EA will be making use of some of those seasonal and limited time only events that we see with a lot of live service games. I just know they're going to do everything they can to take advantage of that completionist mindset that afflicts so many Sims 4 players. But another concern I have is that by putting kits on the marketplace, only accessible to people who buy virtual currency, I imagine this will limit players' ability to pirate content. This marketplace will add an additional layer of protection and make it even more difficult for pirates. And this is intentional on EA's part. They're well aware of the fact that a ton of players pirate this game and they're losing money from that.
Pathetic.
In short, this marketplace is a brilliant idea for EA from a financial perspective, but sadly, as expected, it is absolutely terrible for players. As you guys know, we have talked a bit about Sims content creators and the EA Creator Network. I've criticized a lot of these creators heavily who've chosen to work with EA, and to be honest with you, I feel exactly the same way about these custom content creators who are choosing to partner with EA on this marketplace. Not only is it problematic to choose to work with EA amidst the buyout, this marketplace is one of the most anti-consumer things EA has ever done to The Sims 4. So if you care about not exploiting people and you care about pro-consumerism, you will not participate in this marketplace. Custom content creators can make money on Patreon all they want, but to go out of your way to contribute to the greed and the exploitation and the milking of this player base that EA has been doing for the last 12 years is simply not right. Some of these custom content creators who are now hosting their creations on the marketplace are already very successful, by the way. Like this guy, 6am, who is someone who's already in the EA Creator Network. He's created official kits with EA, and he already makes a lot of money selling his creations on Patreon. We do not need to give any grace to these greedy fucks. I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, the Sims team hosted a Q&A where they responded to concerns people have about this marketplace, and here's what one player player said, "Oh, this sucks. I'm watching the video now. $10 for a CC set? Yeah, right, 6 a.m. $2 for some lipstick? Give me a break. This is ridiculous. These creators are sellouts." Now, I don't know why the hell they included this in the Q&A, but EA's community manager responded to this and said, "I understand this is a big change to the game and how we buy content, but please keep it respectful toward makers who participate in this program. Keep it respectful." These players are the ones who are funding your game. They are the reason this game exists. And with this marketplace, you are disrespecting your entire fucking player base. The existence of the store and this virtual currency is an insult to players. Yet this community manager who's an EA employee is telling paying customers to be respectful. Sweetie, the players do not owe EA shit. You have to earn their respect. You cannot just tell paying customers to be respectful while you're ripping them off. 110 DLC is disrespectful. $1,600 is disrespectful. The bugs that are never fixed, the shopping cart, the virtual currency, the store, all the in-game advertisements begging you to buy the newest pack, the buyout. It's been 12 years of disrespect. But no, they're saying this is our gift to the community, so you better respect us.
No.
So after this whole marketplace was announced, there was a leak where an insider said that Maxis, aka the Sims team, is secretly rooting against the marketplace. According to this insider, the Sims team secretly wants the marketplace to fail. And to that I say, really? Now, I can definitely see some developers and graphic artists wanting this marketplace to fail, because if you think about it, if they're using custom content creators to make assets for the game, this means that they need fewer employees to do that. So this whole thing is also detrimental to the graphic artists and the people who make assets for the game as well. I can see that. I can see them being concerned, but we cannot lump the entire Sims team into this because it simply doesn't make sense. For instance, do you guys know who this guy is? The man in the video introducing the marketplace to you is Sim Guru Graham, the production director on the Sims team at Maxis, who has been at EA for over a decade. If you watched my videos, you may have seen him before. It's the same guy who 12 years ago gaslighted players into believing that The Sims 4 did not have open worlds and you had to travel through a loading screen to visit your neighbor who lives 5 feet away. According to him, they did all that to make the neighborhoods more alive and vibrant. It definitely wasn't because The Sims 4 was repurposed scraps of a failed MMO called Project Olympus, right? Or this lady, do you guys know who that is? Lindsay Pearson. Yes, the vice president of the entire Sims franchise. She leads the Sims team and Maxis, and she's also the same person who said it was her idea to make the infamous Star Wars pack that nobody asked for. Or this guy, Sim Guru Dave, a lead producer on The Sims who gaslighted players when they complained about New Worlds not having seasons. Remember the whole Eternal Autumn debacle with the Life and Death expansion? That was him. These people who are senior leadership at Maxis are also the Sims team. I do not believe that these individuals who have a history of making decisions that are bad for players want the marketplace to fail. And if I'm wrong and they are strongly opposed to the marketplace, I have to wonder, were they also opposed to the 110 plus DLC, half of which are broken? I've already seen several people say, the marketplace is EA's idea, blame EA, not Maxis, it's not the Sims team's fault. You guys have been saying that for the last 12 fucking years. At what point are you guys going to realize that the entire system is corrupt? All of the senior leadership on the Sims team and the executives at EA are conspiring together to milk the fuck out of the player base, as they have been doing for the last 12 years. It really bothers me that every time the Sims team has released a broken half-ass pack, or anytime they've done something that is simply a disservice to players, the Sims 4 fans always blame it on the mystical corporate overlords at EA. We are seeing this 25-year-old franchise self-destruct in real time. So I have to ask, if this article article is true, and Maxis is secretly rooting for the marketplace to fail. Where is the leadership on the Sims team? The veterans who've been there for decades when we need them. Where have they been for the last 12 years? Our beloved Sims team, Maxis, is run by corporate drones and yes men and spineless executives, and the proof is in the quality of the products they've been releasing for the last several years. You guys know that other EA studio, BioWare? A few years ago, when the creative director at BioWare was told that EA wanted to turn Dragon Age into a live service experience, he quit on the spot. We would never see that kind of conviction and siding with the players from any of the leadership on the Sims team. Period. The Sims team does not give a fuck about you, and the marketplace is even more proof of that. There's a lot up in the air with the buyout. We're not sure which studios are going to make it. There's still a lot of people who think that Maxis is going to get sold to another company. That is not going to happen if you guys keep buying shit. But if it continues like this for the next year or so, I really hope the entire fucking studio gets shut down, because The Sims is now a shell of what it once was, and I'd rather they just cut it off at the head instead of watching it die a slow and painful death. I don't think I've ever seen a game studio treat their player base like garbage the way EA Maxis has. They're charging people even more money for a game that is already expensive as hell, and then chastising them and saying keep it respectful when people criticize what they're doing. Of course players are going to be upset. You're screwing them over. It does appear that the consensus among players is that they hate this concept, but I also saw a surprising number of people defend the marketplace. I saw several people saying, well, it's EA's game, they can do whatever they want. Yeah, that's the problem. They are doing exactly what they want. And it's hurting the players. I also saw some people trying to excuse the marketplace and say, well, The Sims 3 had a store as well. And my response to that is, this is not a competition over which predatory practice is more exploitative. They both suck. The Sims 3 store was shit, and so is this. The existence of one does not excuse or validate the existence of the other. That being said, the overall reaction from the Sims community has been quite negative. I don't think anyone is against the idea of custom content creators making money. It is the principle of introducing a marketplace to a game that is already extraordinarily expensive. That is the problem. And of course, the whole thing is optional, but does that make it okay? Just because you as a consumer have a choice whether to purchase something or not does not mean that the practice itself is not exploitative. Do we understand that? Around 10 years ago, some of you might know this, Bethesda Game Studios created a similar paid marketplace for Skyrim, where people could buy custom content and mods. The entire concept was very similar to what EA is doing with The Sims 4. But the backlash from players when this was announced was so severe that it was shut down within 1 week. 1 week is all it took for Skyrim fans to stop this multi-billion-dollar corporation from doing something that was bad for them. Will we ever see Sims players grow a backbone and push back against all the crazy shit EA is doing? I saw one comment in particular that I can't stop thinking about, and it was somebody who said, I bought every single DLC, but this marketplace, this is too much. I hate to be the friend who's too woke, but we are in this position because of people just like this, who bought every single DLC without question. You showed EA that you're willing to spend over $1,600 on a single game, so of course they said, here's a marketplace where you can spend even more money. Players like this have shown them that they're willing to accept overpriced slop, so EA has rewarded you with more overpriced slop. Welcome to capitalism, where corporate greed is only restricted by how much consumers enable it. It is the spinelessness of the Sims community that has gotten us exactly where we are today. It is their refusal over the last 12 years to collectively come together and say enough that has birthed this marketplace. For years, this community has gobbled up every overpriced, lackluster pack this company has served them, and if anyone dared to criticize the number of DLC, or the quality of the DLC, or the monetization model as a whole, the Sims community would turn you into a pariah. Trust me, I know all about that. I've been there. I think it was 2 years ago. I had just gotten into making like commentary type of videos, and I went online and I said, 74 DLC is way too much. This is getting out of hand, and I got hundreds of hate comments. Sims, players, and influencers alike acted like I had committed war crimes by saying that. Now fast forward 2 years and look where your loyalty has gotten us. With a game that will very soon have a price tag over $2,000, probably by the end of this year with this marketplace, and the cherry on top is that it's also lining the pockets of a murderous regime and the Trump family. Congratulations, Sims 4 stands. You did it. In fact, when you think about it, EA has kind of been grooming players for this marketplace for the last couple years. Looking back, I can only assume that creator kits were a test to see if the player base would support paid custom content. So I really do think that we wouldn't be in this position if players had spoken up and put their foot down back then. Because the players gave EA an inch and they took several miles. As much as we all want to demonize EA and trust, they are deserving of every ounce of criticism. They're also abiding by basic economics, supply and demand. And even after 110 DLC, I still see players asking, demanding more content. We want bans, we want resorts, more packs. The players keep demanding more and EA is simply supplying it. So until this player base wakes up and stops supporting this company with their money, it will only get worse. All those Sims 4 stands who are saying, if you don't like it, don't buy it, as if that somehow excuses all the exploitative shit EA is doing. And the ones who whine, you're ruining the game for us every time someone criticizes it, and the ones who say, I hate EA, but I want to support the devs, so I'm buying the new pack. Look where your loyalty has gotten you. I know it might sound like I'm being a bit harsh, but you guys know I've been covering this game for 2 or 3 years at this point, and watching EA drive it further and further into the ground while so many players just cheer them on from the outside, it's just such a bizarre thing to witness. As a matter of fact, I think this marketplace is just foreshadowing. All of you Sims Gooners, I know you're watching. They might make you pay for those Goon mods next. You should be terrified. This is EA we're talking about. Reverse Cowgirl, $3.99.
Okay, James.
It's coming.
You like your junk food, fuck it if you good for me. Tell me what I won't do, for what tastes so heavenly. Be like your honey baby, see. After dinner comes the dessert, whipped cream, eat it while your body waving like the ocean. Make me wanna go in, swimming to the bottom, let you wash over me. Blowing bubbles in the deep end, till my tank is beeping. CPR, I'm barely breathing.